Welcome to another East Tradewinds presentation with Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple.
There are people who are afraid to be on podcasts or promote themselves or do those things, but once you get past them, it certainly is a really it's very refreshing, I find. And certainly when it comes to something like podcasting or podcast guesting, which is still, even though podcasting's been around for 22, 23 years, to some it's still very much an unknown being. So over the next 2 hours, I'm going to be sharing with you over the next 10 minutes, different audience. Over the next 10 minutes, some strategies for being a guest that not only gets booked on shows, but gets invited back, referred, and remembered. So bear with me for a few minutes here while I share this information with you, and you can hold your questions to the end if you like. Most podcast guests, they show up thinking, hey, I hope I sound good. Hope I look good. Is my hair okay? The best ones, though, show up thinking, how do I make this episode unforgettable? How do I really make it something that people will want to remember? So that's the shift right there. So what I want to share with you today are 7 keys that will make you the best podcast guest ever. Everybody ready for that? Number 1, know the show. Take time to actually listen to the show, not just knowing the host. It's great if you know the host. I know Bernie, I've been on his show, but I still have to listen to the show to know what I'm getting into, right? So before you even get on the show, do your homework. Listen to a couple of episodes. Understand the tone, the pacing, understand the audience, the needs of the audience, or what you think the audience might need. Because if you don't know the room, you can't read the room. And unlike being on a physical stage, a podcast, you have to understand the room based on what some of the other guests have shared and what the host has shared as well. So you have to be able to read that room. The second thing to make you the best podcast guest ever is clarify your message. If I were to ask you right now, what's the one thing you want listeners to remember? Can you answer that in one sentence? Not one book, not one page, but one sentence. Great guests are very clear with their messaging. They know what it is that they want to bring across to the audience. But a lot of guests tend to do what? Talky, a lot of rambling, a lot of unclarity with what it is that they're trying to say. In some cases, they contradict themselves. They don't really get to the point, and at the end of the day, they don't even have anything really to offer to the audience. So if you are clear on your messaging and what you want to get across, it'll take you further all the time. Number 3, to be the best sought after guest in history, bring stories. Stories are great. People love stories. I actually shared a story when I was doing my introduction. Now, Bernie sort of set it up so you could share a story, but every time you share a story, it's going to land a little bit better than just an idea. Stories tend to stick with people, not just facts, not just data. So don't just teach them, show them. And I've had a number of guests that have been on my show, and I've been guests on shows where I've given those stories or I've shared those things that have happened that have been really, really, really made the difference between just being an average guest and being a guest that really has some magical moments. One that actually sticks out in my mind, I had the opportunity to interview a guest about a year and a half ago. He used to do all of Tony Robbins' firewalks. An amazing guest, not just sharing the story about the firewalks and Tony and what it was like working with him, but he shared his own personal story and his journey through how he wrestled with addictions and how he came out of that and ended up working with one of the greatest thought leaders of our times. So bring those stories as I said, to make it interesting. It's okay to share ideas, but I always like to back up ideas with a story. Number four, who's the most important person? Is it you? Or is it the audience? Or is it the host? I think you already know the answer to that. The most important person, of course, is the audience. This is where a lot of guests lose the room because we're working so hard as guests to get our messaging across. Carl, you already said, I got to have tight messaging. It really needs to land. I'm making my messaging land, but sometimes we forget that the most important person in the room, and I say person, by the way, because you should be personalizing your message to the audience. Don't think of the audience as a mass of people. Think of that audience of one. Little trick I learned in radio broadcasting. If you think that you're speaking to one person as opposed to speaking to masses, you will make that one-on-one connection, which is what you want to do. But it's serving the audience. If you sound like you are there to pitch the audience, you're done. And I've had guests that have done that, and it's frustrating in a way. I give them the opportunity at the end to share something. The best ones are the ones that provide a solution to the problem that they serve. So if you sound like you're there to help, you're going to win. The less push you put, the less you push your offer, the more, believe it or not, the more people will want it. Psychologically, it works out. Number 5, be a great conversationalist. If we can carry on a conversation and not just be the Q&A person, it's going to take you much, much further. This isn't a keynote. It's not an interrogation. It is a conversation. And by the way, this goes to the hosts too. I actually had an opportunity recently to be on Bernie's show, and Bernie gives you just a little bit behind the scenes. Bernie gives you a list of questions, things that could be asked in the 45 minutes that you're with him. Bernie, I think we hit on 2 questions, maybe 3. The rest of it was a natural flowing conversation. You don't want to turn it into a talk. You don't want to listen to the cues from the host. Okay, this is when I say this. You need to be able to react to what the host is sharing and also be able to pitch. I call it pitch to the host or lob the ball, I guess you could say, back to the host so they can then react. It's kind of like if you're having a conversation with a friend over coffee. You don't go in scripted. You go in knowing you're going to have a conversation, and there will be some aha moments there. And a podcast is no different. The best moments on podcasts are never scripted. Some of the most magical moments I've had as a guest and as a host have been because there was no script. They just happened naturally. Number 6, respect the host's flow. The host is driving the show. Now, there are some hosts out there who are brand new, who might need a little nudge. So if you're an experienced podcaster, it's okay to give them a little bit of a push or bring them or corral them back so they can feel a little bit more confident. But a lot of hosts also bring a lot of experience. So let them drive the show. Don't hijack it. Don't force your agenda. Don't speak in, long, drawn out blocks of content. Better if you can actually speak in sound bites, 1 to 2 minutes of content, and then allow the host to respond. Your job is to make them look good, and their job is to also help you look good as well. When you make them look good, they'll make you sound great. Keep that in mind too. And number 7, promote it like it's your show. After the show has been released, this is where 90% of guests drop the ball, is when you spend time with them. If you're a host, you spend some time with them. You create a great, great show. You publish it. You put it out there. You even give them all of the assets to promote it. You give them the artwork. You give them the links. You give them some even give swipe copy to make it easy to promote the show. And then it's crickets. So 90% of guests will drop the ball on this. Here's what I'm going to share with you is sharing it once is okay, but the more that you can share it and make it feel like it's as important to you as it is to the host, that's where the magic is. Share the clips, tag the host, start conversations, bring traffic back to the episode, whatever it is. So Bernie's already given me some content from our conversation that we had last week, and I know when he drops the episode, there's going to be even more. There will be the artwork, there will be the links, there will be all kinds of things he's going to promote, he's going to tag. This is my opportunity also when that episode goes live to do other things with it as well. Okay, so what I really want you to take from this is being a great guest isn't just about being impressive. It's not just about showing up. That's part of it. You do need to show up, and trust me, there are guests who don't. Calendars get muffled or crossed or whatever, it happens. But it's about adding impact. Make the host's job easier, make the audience feel something, make that individual who needs to hear what you have to say, move them to action. Move them to action. Make that episode worth sharing for sure. Do that, and you won't just be the guest. You will be a guest that everyone remembers and will want to hear time and time again.
We thank you for watching. We meet every Tuesday between 8 and 9 a.m. Eastern. There is no cost and an option to become a speaker too. Find East Trade Wins on LinkedIn.